Every struggling agent thinks that they have a marketing problem, but they really have a systems problem. Until you shift from chasing to building, nothing changes. Every 7-figure agent I know does 3 things better than anyone else. It's generating leads, it's converting conversations, and following up like a savage. It's not about the leads being the problem, consistency is the problem. Stop pitching everyone and start filtering for the right ones. 80% of your deals will come from the 2nd, 5th, and even 12th touch. If you can't tell me your cost per lead and your appointment rate, you are guessing. Once your machine is built, the compounding kicks in. If in real estate, your income is going like this every other month, your lead gen is broken and it needs to be fixed. You don't need more hustle. You don't need to spend more hours every day. You don't need to do like 20-hour days. You need systems. That's the main thing a lot of real estate agents fail to capitalize on. And this is something I've perfectly highlighted in this Miro board here for today. And this Miro board perfectly sums up how to build predictable growth as a realtor and what you need to do in the first place to actually make sure this wheel starts spinning. But to give you an example of who I am first of all and why you should basically listen to me, my name is Dylan Kirk. I'm the CEO and founder of Estato, and we basically pride ourselves on making sure that realtors entirely focus on quality of leads rather than quantity. And we build systems for these realtors to make sure they actually build predictable income instead of guessing every month with like typical pay after closing stuff. Because we realize 100 leads and 0 conversions is 0 leads because none of them converted. So even if you have a sizable amount of leads and a lot of them convert, that's better than none of them converting at all. That's the way we see it. So that's what we pride ourselves on and make sure we build quality systems for realtors. The main thing is that a lot of realtors have this growth problem. So every struggling agent thinks that they have a marketing problem, but they really have a systems problem. And the reason I explain that is that most agents think they need better branding or prettier business cards, right? But the real issue is that they have no repeatable process to actually bring in more clients. Perfect example here is that 1 month they close 3 deals. The next they starve. That's not a business, that's a job with anxiety. Predictable income requires predictable lead generation. Otherwise, you look at this time versus money dilemma. You're either in a feast or famine cycle. You're relying on referrals or hope marketing, and there's no tracking, there's no pipeline, and no control. So you end up looking a bit like that. You're on a hamster wheel, just constantly hoping for the next, I don't know what hamsters eat, cheese, I suppose. But that's essentially how that works there. But you need to shift your mindset on this because until you shift from chasing to building, nothing changes. Like, you don't grow by reacting. You grow by engineering outcomes, and the agents who wait for the phone to ring never scale. It never ever happens. Like, you have to build a repeatable machine that gets you in front of qualified people daily, right? Like, that requires thinking like a builder, not a hustler. You don't have to go in this hustler mentality garbage that goes thrown around. It's nothing to do with grinding harder or anything like that. It's about shifting your mindset. It's about getting smart of your systems that outlast your energy. So going from thinking of reaction, randomness, and from guessing into proactive lead generation, thinking about systems, and actually tracking your KPIs. It surprises me every time when I hop on calls with realtors and they're not tracking their KPIs, or I ask them where they are in real estate and they haven't got a clue. That's a red flag right off the bat. It doesn't really work out there. But to perfectly highlight this, I've got the 3 pillars of growth. That's what I've dubbed it here. Like, every 7-figure agent I know does 3 things better than anyone else. It's generating leads, it's converting conversations, and following up like a savage. If you're missing one of these 3, of any of these pillars, your business is fragile. These are your absolute core 3. If you're missing any of these, your business collapses. So lead generation, offers that consistent flow of prospects. Lead conversion, actually makes conversations that qualify and close. And your follow-up and retargeting converts leads over time. And this is a non-negotiable here as well. It monetizes your long-term pipeline and basically just makes sure that no leads are getting lost in the weeds and you're actually getting people who actually want to move forward and you're not missing any deals as a result. Until you focus on these 3 things, everything else is noise until these are actually solid. So pillar 1 is that consistent lead generation. So the biggest thing is that a lot of realtors make this misconception about leads being the problem. A lot of the time, it's not about the leads being the problem, consistency is the problem. The biggest mistake I see with a lot of agents is that they do lead gen when things are slow, and then they stop when things are busy. If you carry on like that, no wonder you're stuck in a cycle. That creates that income roller coaster we mentioned here and that hamster wheel, right? Like, the solution here is then to create a daily lead gen routine, and even if it's just one channel, even if it's not automated, doing 20 outreach a day, 3 videos a week, 1 ad running at all times, you don't scale results, you scale systems. And that's essentially how it works there. When we talked about compound growth in the last episode, like, that is what you apply here. Once you find out what works, you double down your ad spend. For paid ads, it's really, really easy to scale. You just double down your ad spend, and you just increase your lead flow, right? There's only 3 real ways to get leads. You hunt them, you attract them, or you buy them. That's the main 3 there. So let's break down actually how each one works. So outbound, you're initiating. So with outbound, you're either doing cold calls, DM text. These are fast and cheap, but quite easy. But you circle your prospects for sale by owners or expires, automation tools, text calls, DM cadences. Like, it's cheap. It's dirt cheap, but it's time efficient and doesn't really get you anywhere once you got your first couple deals under your belt. Inbound, you're creating actual magnet content. So these are YouTube videos, local market updates, SEO. These are slower but scales better. It just takes a little while for it to kick in, which some people have that time, some people don't. With paid, this is where you're buying traffic. So it's either from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube ads, like either one. You get high control, high volume, but you must track your ROI. If you're not tracking, you are burning your money and you're not really going to get anywhere. So you've got Facebook, IG lead forms, YouTube buyer ads, Zillow realtor leads if your ROI works. But that's usually your last option if things actually work out with them. I'm not going to bash anyone here, but I've heard things and I'm not going to delve too much into that. But yeah, pillar 2 is lead conversion. So stop pitching everyone is the main thing here. So stop pitching everyone and start filtering for the right ones. So the biggest problem a lot of realtors make, and this is something that I see quite often, is that not every lead is a good lead. So not every good lead is ready today as well. Just keep that in mind. So top agents don't convince people, they qualify and coach the right ones. So that's what you need, a conversion script that asks the right questions. What's their timeline? Are they financially ready? What's their motivation? If they're not a fit, very simply, and I've seen successful agents do this, if they're not a fit, you move on. If they are, you drive the sale forward with clarity and actually with confidence. So this is what your funnel should look like. So have those scripted conversations, figuring out fear, mistake, solution, CTA, and operation, right? And qualifying frameworks, adding in your budget, motivation, timing, just making sure they're actually the right fit for you. Removing wrong fits early on so you're not wasting your time with people, and you schedule and conducting impactful consultations. So this is where you actually figure out and get down to the nitty gritty and are these going to convert or not. If they're not, no harm, no foul. You've had a 10-15 minute conversation, move on. That's better than spending hours and hours and even spending money on people who are never going to convert in the first place. So just keeping that in mind. This saves you from just wasting your money and your time. I speak to agents, they talk about like how they can basically get everything done in one day. Like, you haven't got enough time to get this all done. Even from experienced business people, they come into real estate and think, oh, like, how have you got time to do everything? It's by doing this. You don't focus on leads that aren't going to convert. A lot of realtors, the problem is, like, it comes across that you've got too much stuff to do in a day, but the problem is you waste a lot of time you do in a day, and that comes from either poor systems, or you haven't got systems in the first place, so that's your biggest concern. Number 2 is that you're actually wasting time on people who aren't going to convert. You're not necessarily burning money, but you think there's money there when there really isn't, at least not yet. And the third and final one is that you're either following up wrong or you're not doing it in the right way. So 80% of your deals will come from the 2nd, 5th, and even 12th touch. And this is where the follow-up and retargeting pillar is so important. It's very rare you're going to get people who convert straight away unless they're really hot leads, right? Like, the first call doesn't close the deal. The follow-up does. The average prospect, just on average, needs about 5 to 12 touches before they even convert. Like, most agents follow up once and then give up. So set up an automated nurture campaign, which does either drip emails, text check-ins, as you see here. Retargeting ads are a really good one. Personalized video follow-ups, these are really good ones here. Text, email, call drip systems. Retargeting ads, as I said there, through like Facebook and IG. And then monthly market updates or personal check-ins. The one that works most effectively is personal touches, where they actually feel like you have a connection with the prospect. You're keeping them relevant and not just a list of numbers on a CRM, right? Like, if you're going through and you're doing it that way, you come across as spammy. If you're doing it like this, it's not spam, but it's actually relevant until they're actually ready to buy or sell, whatever comes for them, right? So what happens over time? A great diagram. It took me a long time to do this, so don't worry about it. But essentially how follow-ups work is that the more time you're essentially investing, the chance of them converting goes higher and higher and higher until they actually convert. So if you imagine you've got 100 leads starting here, eventually you message them, and eventually more and more start converting there. So that's what that looks like there. And when it comes to follow-ups, you need to be able to track. And if you can't tell me, and this is just going off, just between me and you, just being honest, if you can't tell me your cost per lead and your appointment rate, you are guessing, and that is a red flag in your business that needs to be addressed as soon as possible, because data doesn't lie. If you don't track your numbers, you don't have a business, you have a hope plan, right? Like, track these weekly. So we're going to go through and say, how many leads actually came in, how many turned into appointments, how many became clients, how much did each one actually cost? So leads in, appointments set, appointments held, client signed, deals closed, cost per client lead. This is a really, really simple CRM, but it's more effective than some of the agent dashboards I've seen. I'm like, good God, how do you track this data? How are you doing this? But data gives you leverage. You'll know exactly where to double down and what to cut fast. Data doesn't lie, and I would even go to my extent where I go by my day-to-day based on data. Am I investing my time effectively by looking at data? I quantify everything and check to see if I'm actually doing that right. If I'm not, then remove it. How much ROI I'm actually getting from stuff. And that's the bigger thing. You need to think about ROI for everything. It's a very big buzzword. A lot of people are going to use it to mislead you or just use it as a buzzword. But ROI is so important. We're in a time economy, as everyone knows anyway. But just keeping in mind, how much are you actually getting back from your time? If you're spending a couple hours cold calling but getting one lead back, it's usually a sign that you should probably stop cold calling, or you should improve your script or do something like that, depending on your situation. But this is where it kind of boils down to, and that's kind of leads into my next point with the Realtor growth flywheel. So once your machine is built, the compounding kicks in. So when you generate consistently and convert efficiently and follow up relentlessly, the system compounds. So your clients bring referrals, your ad costs drop, your brand actually builds results, and your time per deal actually shrinks significantly. And that's what it looks like. So lead gen, appointments, clients, closings, refuse referrals, more authority, lower cost, repeat. If this is how you build a top producing agent, that diagram there, very, very simple. And that's the flywheel effect. So in the beginning, it's heavy, right? But once it spins, it carries itself. And that's when you stop chasing and you start scaling. And that's basically how it works there. But now you have a map for essentially how it all works. So the only question really left is, are you actually going to walk it, or are you going to stay stuck in the cycle? You could easily refer back to my last video talking about pay after closing and just leave your company to win, right? You're basically determining on market conditions, or you can take advantage of where you are right now and actually scale. Even in a terrible market, everyone will look at you and go, holy crap, how has he actually scaled that? How has he done that? But yeah, you've seen the system. So the next step is either, building it solo and learning the hard way can be difficult, or you could plug into something that's already working. So it really depends on what you want to do there. But if you are serious of getting out of that income roller coaster and actually into predictable growth, then the choice is simple. Keep doing what you're doing right now, or implement this system here. So that's pretty much everything. If you want to work with me one-on-one or actually figure out how we can implement this in your certain situation, I know some people it's a bit harder to actually tailor a plan individually, especially with a lot going on. Again, like I say, time economy wise. But feel free to DM me on Instagram using the word deals, and we'll work together, or we'll set something up, or at least I can actually make sure that you're in a place where you can do it yourself and tailor a plan to you. No funds or anything like that, no money required. But yeah, I'll just give that out free of charge. So make sure everything's good there. But yeah, that's everything. If you want any questions, or if you have any concerns about the video or anything like that, drop a comment to this video and I'll get back to it. But yeah, that's everything. See ya.